We are live. See if I can zoom out. I guess I can't. I have to raise this up slightly. Get a better view. We are continuing with our rock surface here. As you can see, I'm just going to give it a minute. I'm going to check on my screen here. And yeah, we're live. Trying to okay. I want to give myself a heart. I'd like for this to go away. Okay. So it's 11 o'clock on the dot. We are live. And we're going to start printing. So today we're doing a little bit of something different, but kind of the same. We're using 2 rollers, and we're using a little bit of a gradation. So I have this more reddish tone at the bottom of this roller. And then we have this yellow tone towards the top of this roller. So I'm trying to get a little bit of a gradation in this rock surface for some texture and some variety. This rock surface in real life has all sorts of grays, reds, oranges, all different colors. So I'm trying to get a variety here. So start with this yellow color up top. And I did add some transparency to these pigments. So once I get that going, I just come down here . So after I was done carving with this section, I ran some, I think 80 grit or 100 grit sandpaper across the surface to try to get some like texture in there, open up the grain a little bit. Morning, Pam. Can you hear me and see me? Okay. And I just bring that roller up a little, bring the colors in there, modulate the colors into each other a little bit. I put this tape here to block the Kento from getting ink on it. I can reuse that. And today I think we're just going to be using the hand Baron for this impression. I already did one impression to test my colors. So here we are currently. And it's about to make another dramatic change. This is going to be very exciting. So we might only have a few people here, but it's going to be exciting for those 4 people. So I lightly moistened this paper today, but it's kind of floppy. It's kind of humid here today in New York. It's warmer. It's feeling more like summertime. We have a nice, delicate, ball-bearing impression today. So these are Japanese woodblock printmaking tools, or Eastern printmaking. I'm not pressing super hard. I don't think the pressure is necessary. I'm just going to pull up a little to make sure it's looking okay. Yeah, it's looking nice. So here we go. Ooh. Another layer down really heightens the texture of the rock surface, kind of brightens up the whole picture. You can see a chunk of wood on my surface, so I just have to take that off. Yeah, so there's another layer down. I'm happy with these colors. It's a lot warmer, this impression. And there's maybe I think there's 2 more rock impressions on top of this. So a lot of this, again, will get covered with the next impression. But it's getting close to completion, so you can really get an idea of what this thing's going to look like finished. Yeah, I'm really happy with this so far. Now I'm just excited to finish this print so I can move on to something else. So we're just going to continue like that today. I'm going to try to keep the impression, the pigment and the ink just a little bit thinner. Put my tape down again. Just keep it like a nice thin application of ink. I don't want it too thick here. Just want to make sure I bring those colors together. Always check the surface. Make sure I covered everything. Yeah, it's looking good. This took forever to carve again, this impression. And I'm having some trouble carving now because when I glue down my transfer sheets, there isn't a lot of area for the glue to adhere to the paper, or for the paper to adhere to the wood surface. There's so many holes. And as I start carving into these holes, the paper is flapping up, and it's really frustrating at times. So I may have to include a new block for the next impression, just so I have a nice, clean, flat surface to glue to and to work from. So I will introduce a new, smaller block. It'll be just about this big, just the size of the rock. So I'll have to make another little jig, printmaking jig for the next impression, similar to the YouTube video I just put out a couple days ago, where it will be just a very specific area that I'll be targeting. And I guess whoever's here, I know there's not that many people, there's like 4 people here. If you guys could tap the heart button, I guess that's like good for the YouTube video. or for the live stream, if you tap the heart button, it'll recommend your video to other people, I guess. I don't know. So maybe if you could try that. I already did. I tapped the heart button as soon as I got in. But I'm not on a regular schedule with these live streams, so I'm not expecting too many people to be joining. I'm really just doing it to share the process and to document this whole thing. Let's see here. Yeah, so this was a little bit of a lighter application of ink on this one. Yeah, I've been posting on Instagram. I'll try to do it. I should have done it last night. I just didn't know what time. Thanks, Pam. I just didn't know what time I was going to be printing today because my schedule is a little bit chaotic. Next time I'll try to lock in a specific time and I'll give everyone like a full 24 hours. And I'm noticing, I'm looking here, I'm looking at my screen and I can see this ink here on the computer. And there's a distinct division here where it's like red and then there's a line here. So I want to try to bring this gradation in a little bit more. Get my tape down real quick. Printmaking is all about repetition and making small adjustments as you go along. And then with this roller, I want to try to get more of this pigment here. So the problem is my ink is this, and then my block is this. So there's a lot of overlap. So I really don't need all of this ink. So I really want to be over here more to make that a nice gradation. Ideally, you would just have a roller that's this big. I don't have. These rollers are really expensive. I think one this size is like 150, maybe 175 for something like that. So I'm slowly building up a collection of brayers. All right. There's quite a lot of ink on this one. Put some holes. I want to see here. Yeah. Seems like it's working too. I have a Dremel tool, which is like a little rotary tool, and I put a bunch of little holes in tiny little, let's see if you can see here. Like on this block, this little chunk here. You can see there's a bunch of little tiny holes. I was just adding some texture, and I was using the sandpaper to open the grain. Trying to just get a little bit of more natural texture involved in this. And it seems to be working. But I want to use the Dremel tool a little more because I feel like you can get some really nice textures with it. Different bits. They have different tips for it, like metal tips or sanding tips. And it would be fun to utilize it in some experimental textures. So it's been a while since we used the Baron for the complete impression. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'd say maybe like 50% pressure. Doesn't take much to transfer the ink to the surface. See here? Yeah, this color is really brightening, warming up the whole picture. Kind of like some sunlight coming in, some natural sunlight. I'm liking it. Again, this is going to get covered with the next impression. And like I said earlier, I've been staggering these colors. So you could see, you know, up here is a dark purple, cool purple, and then over top of it was a very warm red. And then from this really warm red, I did some opacity, more of this pink color, but still red. And then on top of that, a cool gray. Now on top of this cool neutral gray is sitting this yellow. So these colors are just stacking on top of each other, just like I would do like an oil painting. And these layers are just slowly building and heightening in tone into the lightest lights, which the next impression might be a little bit more cool. A cool gray again, and then finally, you know, maybe something warmer. But the amount of colors in this rock surface in real life, there's infinite colors in it. There's reds, orange, you know, grays, cools, warms. It's really interesting rock, and I'm trying to show that in this print, the variety of tones and hues. So I don't know if it's reading well there through the camera, but I am happy with the color scheme so far. So I just keep going. It's just very, each layer, I'm just responding to the last layer, and I'm making my decisions based on what I have. So this is a really fun way to work. I just didn't expect all this carving. I should have realized it was going to take a long time, but it's okay. I learned my lesson, and I don't think I'll be making a print of this detail, this amount of detail. I'm going to simplify it, simplify the process next time by spending more time designing the print rather than just relying so much on the photograph. Because the photograph just has way too much information. It really isn't necessary to have this amount of information in the print. It's interesting to see how far I can take it. But sometimes a simplified solution is more powerful. I'm gonna check that surface again. I wanted to show you these little holes again. You see these little tiny holes that I used with the Dremel tool. I'll show you the tool just so you can. It's a little rotary tool, battery operated. I'm sure you've seen these. This is a nice one actually. It has a variable speed, and you just put that thing on and you could turn different speeds, and then there's like infinite amount of different nibs or tips for it. So this was just a little tiny, and I was just adding some texture to this block to see how it works. But it'd be really interesting to do like a whole linoleum carving with just the rotary tool there. So that's an idea for a next project or a future project. So here we go. So you can see the neutral gray color of the last impression. It's very dull, kind of dark. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. The before and after. Let's see how much it changes in one impression. It's a huge difference. So working with this reductive style, like you have to have this kind of in your mind from the very beginning. When I first started laying down these light grays in the sky, I was already thinking about where it would be at this stage. So you have to kind of have a plan, but also you have to adjust as you go along and have it's almost a reaction to this last impression. It was so dull and so neutral and so cool. I naturally wanted to make it a little bit warmer this time to bring some life to it. So that's just kind of the way reductive printmaking goes, at least for me. And that's why I enjoy it so much. So we just keep going. I love these rollers, man. They got some weight to them. These are really nice rollers. I forget the company that makes these, but they're very nice rollers. They're professional grade. And I would like to get one in this, maybe like a 12-inch or 14-inch. Get my tape down. Oh, I wanted to see if I could see some of these holes in the print. So in here, over here is a good example. Right, my thing here. You can see in this little section here, there's a bunch of little dots, little textural areas, and this one here too. So I was just going for a little subtle, just experimenting with it. It's very subtle, but it has its place in the as a tool, this little rotary tool. Yeah, I'm really liking this print right now. It's really starting to come together. The finish line is near. I'm gonna have to think about this rope. I have to do the rope impression. I might do it next because it's a very tiny line. There's a couple little very small areas, so I am gonna have to make another little jig for just the rope and that little piece of gear that's in there. So I might do that next. I still don't know what color to make it, but I could take a photo of the print now and just kind of put in a different color schemes. I'm thinking a dark purple rope might be nice. I don't want anything too flashy. I could do like a reddish orange color, might be nice. I'll maybe mock up a couple examples and put it as a poll on my YouTube channel, and you guys can vote on what color you think the rope should be. Yeah, I was thinking blue too, but there's a lot of blue in the print already. You know, the climber's got blue pants, blue shirt, blue sky, blue distance, so I was thinking maybe like an orange. I'm not sure. But we'll try a blue, like a different blue. I mean, blue's my favorite color, so I would make everything blue. Blues and greens are my favorite colors. Yeah, it's getting warm in New York City. I think it's going to be in the 80s today. Pam, it must be really warm down in your neck of the woods. But it's feeling humid today. The last 3 days were beautiful. It was like cool, warm and sunny, but cool still. The spring air was still around. And today it just feels like it's getting closer to summer. Because I'm kind of sweating in my apartment today. I have to turn on the AC to knock out the humidity out of the air. Oh, it's only 80 down there. Okay. It's about what it is here. Yeah, and I think this little gradation adds a lot of depth to the print as well. So for the next impression and the impression after that, I will do the same thing. I put a little bit of a gradation in there to just add some variety. These deeper, darker tones behind this rock surface, the first couple, it didn't need so much gradation. But I think the next few layers, it will add some interest to the print, some variety. So it's amazing how just a little bit of a gradation can bring some life to the print. It's amazing how long this ink lasts. I mix up all this pigment and I end up wasting a lot of it. It's hard to save. But what I do is I have a lot of scrap washi from old prints and a lot of scrap paper that I just keep into boxes. And then I'll run this roller over the paper and I just keep a whole, I'll show you in a minute here. I keep a whole collection of colors and gradations, and I use them sometimes for collages. I've made a few in the past. It's really fun and I really enjoyed the process. But I have a whole collection, so one of these days I'm going to sit down and do a whole bunch of collages. With all my paper scraps and all my extra pigments and inks. I'll show you my collage collection. I've got oil-based and water-based, so I'll just show you some of these. They're really rich colors, and see, I got a whole. So look how rich that is. So when I have extra ink on my palette, I just these little gradations, all sorts of colors from different projects. And these make for really great pieces for collages. Blues, some textural things. Yeah, this is right up your alley, Pam. These was just experimented with some textures. I used a comb, I raked a piece of a comb across the ink on the to get some line textures. So that's for another day, for a rainy day. Yeah, look at these greens, yellows and greens. I could do it on cotton fabric. This ink does dry, and it actually lasts pretty well on t-shirts and stuff. I've printed a couple t-shirts from the same ink, and I was surprised how long it lasted after washing it several times. I mean, it lasted pretty much the life of the t-shirt. So this ink is very durable after it fully cures. Maybe that's something we can do together, Pam. I'll start printing a lot of these colors on fabrics. I'll have to get some scraps from somewhere. I don't want to buy fabric. I have a lot of cotton, canvas, like cotton duct canvas for, painting. And I have Belgian linen. That's very textured, so I don't know if that would work. What do you think, Pam? I'll try some today. I have some scraps. Let's see how that looks. Just raw linen and raw canvas, cotton canvas. Lost my cardboard. It's over here. Yeah, I have to get some scraps of some different materials. I have a friend who works with a lot of different, he's an interior designer, and he does a lot of like different, uses fabrics for like pillows and curtains and all these different stuff. So he's probably got a lot of extra scraps of things that I could ask him for some. So yeah, this is the work for today. It's just another impression. We've got to be on to like 23 impressions, I'm guessing, for this print, with about 4 or 5 more to go. Some of them are very small, but they're still impressions. I forgot to put my tape down, so I'm going to make sure I don't have any ink on the surface there on my Kento. Looks clean. I ordered some art materials recently. I'll show you what I got here. A little bit of linoleum, just a little bit. That's 12 inches wide by 25 feet long. So that's exciting. Gonna have to start doing something with that. It's much cheaper to just buy a big chunk of it and cut it down yourself. I've never done that before, but it's time to start ramping up production. I also bought some new oil paints, just a few colors from a company that's here in New York City called Vasari. And they put a little bit of them. I tried them on a palette. I was making a little painting the other day, just like working on little paintings at night before I go to bed, just to get back into it. And I used some of the oil paint, and it's very thin. It's slippery. It slides around real easily. It's not like thick and chunky like this kind of ink where there's a lot of body to it. So it's really nice to work with. I've never used the brand before, but for indirect painting where I'm painting in multiple layers, thin layers, it's really nice. So I've been getting excited about oil painting lately. Sometimes I need to change it up. Printmaking and carving is fun, but I do love oil painting and drawing. I like all different mediums. And they all inform each other. So my oil painting informs my printmaking and vice versa. I'll show you these little paintings I was making. Whoops. Just having fun. Just a little painting of a little boat and a dock. The moon. There's another one here, little landscape. This is the gunks as well. Just little landscapes. I'm just messing around with these at night. Here's another one I started. I just kind of blocked it in of an area in Massachusetts. I'm just blocking it in. I'm going to let it dry and then I just work on top of it. These are really nice panels too. I love art materials and good quality products. This is called Mako, and it's like a dye bond. It's like an aluminum with like a core, and then this is a titanium oil ground. It's a really nice surface to work on if anyone out there is interested in painting. I highly recommend these panels. They're super archival, they're rigid, they're light, easy to move around, transport around. So yeah, I just started working on those. Those are cool product. And these are the oils I got the other day, which I was really excited about. These are called Vasari. They're made here in New York City, and they're very high quality. A decent amount of, the price is pretty good. So I'm excited to get back into the painting a little bit. I would like to include some of my painting on YouTube, but I don't know if that's good for, bear with me, there's a large truck out front. I'll pull some ink down. Roller's getting a little thin. I'd like to include some of my oil painting on my YouTube channel, but I don't know if that'll like mess with the algorithm. I know you're supposed to focus on just one niche and not stray too far from it. But I don't know, I feel like oil painting and printmaking kind of go hand in hand. But either way, I will be doing some more oil painting here in the near future. And now that the warmer weather, I'll be getting outside and doing some outdoor painting in preparation for this exhibition coming up in the November. I would like to get some, maybe 3 to 5 oil paintings in this exhibition. So I have to get back into it. Plus it's just really relaxing for me. So that's about it for today. We're at 50 minutes. I'll just keep it going. Don't feel like you have to hang out here for too long. I'll just keep it going. Excuse me. Got about 5 more to do. Hey, thanks for joining me, Stuart. Excuse me. They're very consistent. So after I'm done here, I'll clean off this block as best I can, and I'll save it. I may use it again, not for the next impression, but maybe for the one of the last impressions. I'm not sure. But I think I need to start a new block because it is really difficult to carve into this. It was all the paper, my transfer paper was coming up, and I was getting really frustrated. Plus the wood, this is Shinna plywood. When you get to these tiny little islands of wood, they kind of like to just break off. So they get very brittle. Because there's been multiple impressions done. I'm washing off the oil pigment with some mineral spirits. What am I doing here? And it just had a lot of abuse on this surface. So I may need to just start a little block that's about this size. That's all I need for the next impression. It'll just make carving, it'll make it a little bit more enjoyable because carving into this is very difficult. It'll add a little variety too, I think, because this has all been reduced over and over and over. It's very accurate. So for the next impression, if I do a new carving, it won't exactly line up perfectly compared to what's down here already, if that makes sense. So I make it a little bit more variety. So that actually might be nice. Scott's question. Did Scott have a question? Oh, do you do much lino? Do you have a preference? I do. I work with linoleum as well. I'm about to work with it a lot more in the near future. And I don't have a preference, really. I like all different kinds of printmaking. I really enjoy carving linoleum. I use my Mokahanga traditional Japanese carving tools on the linoleum, and I treat it as if it was just a regular piece of hardwood or cherry, and I carve exactly in the same way. So I don't use V gouges really at all. So I use a knife, I cut the edge, and then I clear with the bullnose chisels. And I'm I'm going to experiment and really see how detailed I can get with the linoleum, because I am almost positive that I can get the same amount of detail with like talking about like key lines or line work. I think I can get the same amount of detail, if not more, out of linoleum than a piece of cherry wood. So I'm going to test my ability with the linoleum coming up here soon. But linoleum's, you know, it's easier to maybe experiment with because it's not so precious. You know, it's not like a nice piece of cherry where you kind of feel bad if you don't put it to good use, because it was like a living tree at one point. So linoleum's a little like more experimental, but it has its ups and downs. It's not my favorite medium, but I do like using it once in a while. And I'm going to mix together some woodblock and linoleum together coming up here soon. I pretty much just do everything. Just kind of mix it all together, see what works, and each time just do something a little bit different. But yeah, I've done a lot of linoleum prints or lino cuts. I didn't show you this one. They're all looking the same. I have a little lino cut here that I made framed. This is like a little, this is when I first got my press, and I just wanted to make something small, something a little bit more geometric and abstract, but still have influences Japanese, like this rainfall, these lines coming down, similar to ukiyo-e, and just a lot of little line textures in there. So that's linoleum, reductive linoleum. That's from one piece of linoleum. And I have one here as well. I did a long time ago. This has to be 6 years ago. This is of another rock climbing area it's called Mount Lemon. We were talking about Mount Lemon a few weeks ago. But this is multiple blocks, multiple lino blocks. I think there's 4 lino blocks for this one. And this was, I was practicing, before I did any mokuhanga, I was practicing with the linoleum. And so this, I think, was a 4 or 5 impression block of this rock climbing area, this standing tower that we climbed to. When you get to the top of that tower, it's really cool. You're just standing on this big pinnacle. But it's in Tucson, Arizona, that rock climbing area. Yeah, it's cool. Scott, are you using water-based pigments on linoleum, or are you using the oil-based pigments? Or are you using like acrylics? And thank you, Pam, for letting me know that I missed a question. When my channel blows up, I'll ask you to be my moderator when we get thousands of people watching. Yeah, oh, acrylics, wow. So just like regular acrylic paints? I'm curious to see how that to see how that's working. And how are you applying the acrylics? Are you using brushes? Are you like stippling it onto the lino, or are you rolling it on with a roller? Yeah, I could guess that it would be. Oops, put two prints in the same. That's not good. I put two prints in the same slot here on my. I don't want that. My drying rack. But all is well. All right. Let's see how many more we have. I got one more. Yeah, I could tell that would be hard to use acrylics just because they dry so fast. You would have to use some sort of extender, maybe something that keeps them. I mean, it depends what you're doing, but if you're running a large edition, like say 10 to 15 pieces, 10 to 15 different impressions, or like 10 to 15 different sheets of paper from the same block, I would guess you would have to clean the block after each impression. Like wipe it off to get to the next one. You should just try some oil pigments. They do make water-based oil pigments if you're concerned about cleanup or not using any solvents or anything. You should try some water-based oil pigments. Just not Aqua. Not a big fan of those Aqua inks. So another impression down. We're one step closer to finishing this print. I know it's been taking a lot longer than expected, but for everyone that's hanging out and enjoying the process, thank you for joining and asking questions and just being part of the whole process. So we're one step closer to the finish line. I think 2 more impressions on this rock surface. We'll print this this rope area, and then we will be moving on. I have been doing some carving. I'll show you my update on this block. This is what I'm carving. When I'm not carving this, I'm carving this. So I've been carving these intricate little textured pine tree needles and limbs. And this is going to be a fun little print. I'm not sure if it's going to, I think I'm going to print it Mokahanga, the whole thing. But also I may try to maybe do Mokahanga, and then maybe some oils after I do an addition. I'm not sure with this one. But this is going to be a nice, fun print. More unique print. This is more my drawing style, my hatching style when I draw with markers. So this will have a little bit more, a more unique quality. And that's not so based on photographs. So I will clean off this block, I will clean up this area, and I'll run out these rollers on some scrap papers and try to use up some of this ink. But we were at 68 minutes, so we went a little bit over. And I want to thank everyone that joined me today. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I will see you probably maybe next week for the next impression. Thanks again. Take care.